So the web has been breaking a lot lately. Vercel is down, GitHub is down, Claude is down, Cloudflare is down, AWS is down, everything is down, and it's making me lose my freaking mind. And to no one's surprise, it seems to be AI's fault, but not exactly how you'd expect. Now, outages aren't a new thing. They happen. That's why these status pages exist in the first place, right? But what's going on right now is not normal. And it feels like something is happening to me on a daily basis. I'm prompting Claude Code 1 second in the flow, then get hit with an error, rendering it useless. So now I have to use Codex until that is resolved. Or I go to view a GitHub repo and I'm met with this stupid unicorn way more than I should be because the servers seem to be always down. Or I go to check my deployments on Vercel and the dashboard looks like this. Or maybe a deploy is stalled, and since everything seems to break, like David said here, I have no clue if this is a Vercel issue or a GitHub issue or somehow related to Anthropic again because that keeps breaking. Or maybe it's just one of the many downstream effects of when Cloudflare goes down. Oh, and every single image you saw on screen just now happened within the past few months. GitHub is averaging a 90% uptime right now, with January being the only thing keeping it above that 90% threshold. I mean, they had 89 incidents in the last 90 days alone. That's one incident a day on average. Not for the whole day, but for the day. But to put it in perspective, a 90% uptime is over an entire month of downtime. That means if you had 99.99% uptime, you could shut down your site for the entire month of December and still have a better uptime than GitHub does right now. And that isn't some crazy ask. 99.9%, the 3 nines, used to be standard. And it's actually what GitHub's SLA promises. But nowadays, the only 3 nines that GitHub can hope to achieve is 89.99%. That was a dumb joke, but true nonetheless. But this isn't happening just because they're pushing AI slop into their code bases. Yes, AI plays a role, but in a much different way. And before we get into what's actually happening, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Because with everything going down, you know what hasn't gone down? My CI pipeline ever since I switched to Depot's new CI engine. Now, I'm sure you've heard about Depot. They're very well known in the industry for cutting down Docker build times by up to 55x and by making GitHub Actions 10 times faster. But now they just launched Depot CI to entirely replace GitHub Actions. But not just for the sake of having their own CI. They spent years optimizing GitHub Actions to make it faster, but they were only able to improve 30% of the system. That's because 70% was the GitHub infrastructure. It was outside of their control. So Depot rebuilt the whole thing from scratch. So now they can optimize the entire CI pipeline to make it even faster than they made GitHub Actions and a whole lot better. And one of my favorite things about this, I actually have to read a tweet that I made back in January. If you're building a dev platform that touches infra or config or workflows or anything like that, you gotta have a CLI. It's a non-negotiable at this point because it allows agents to talk to that part of your workflow. And that's another feature Depot CI has built. A complete CLI and API so your agents can now interface with your CI. And that makes me happy because I'm tired of copy and pasting errors over from my CI to my agent. And this is something else that I love. Drop into an SSH session mid-job to debug a failing step in real time. Oh man, it is so good. So it's really up to you. You can stay with a company owned by Microsoft that treats their main product like this and probably doesn't have time to really optimize GitHub Actions, which is why Depot was able to do it even with that little 30%. Or you can switch to a CI whose entire existence is to make your CI pipeline faster. Again, completely up to you. Just know, all you have to do is go to your repo and run Depot CI migrate to move your workflows from GitHub Actions over to Depot CI. So check it out at the link in the description. All right, so to really see how much of effect AI has had on the web and the internet being broken, we have to take a look at what is actually happening. And I want to start with Amazon because this one is insane. Y'all may have heard of Kiro. It's Amazon's cursor that devs didn't really want to use, but Amazon made them use because the devs would rather use something like Claude Code, but Amazon said you can't use Claude Code even though Amazon is one of Anthropic's largest investors. let's not try to make sense of this nonsense. Anyway, just a few months ago in December, Kiro was given a task that was reported to be a minor fix, by the way. That's an important part, I think. And it was in Amazon's AWS Cost Explorer. Kiro, the AI, decided that its best course of action was to delete the entire live production environment of AWS Cost Explorer and rebuild it, which ended up causing a 13-hour-long outage. Now, Amazon said this wasn't AI. This was human error. Access controls were misconfigured, which allowed the AI to do this. And look, I am the biggest proponent of personal accountability. This was the human's fault. They should never have given the AI these access to anything like this. However, to say that AI had nothing to do with this, well, let me just say there isn't a single employed dev that is assigned this task that says, yeah, let me just delete the entire live production environment and rebuild it. Okay, maybe there's one of you out there that has this thought, but even the person who has this thought would probably still have the wherewithal to build the replacement before deleting the existing code, right? Kiro didn't do that. Kiro said, all right, I'm just going to delete this. The problem is gone, and I'm just going to rebuild it from scratch. And in the process, Kiro actually, I don't know if this was misconfigured in the access controls. I don't think this was shared with us, but it did bypass a 2-person approval process, which is notable because the 2-person approval process for code changes was enacted because of another AI, Amazon Q. And Q had a bit of an incident. It deployed a config change without docs, without approval, without automated checks that caused 6.3 million orders on Amazon to be lost. And this was just 3 days after it had another incident that caused 120,000 orders to be lost. So they imposed these new rules, one of them being the 2-person approval process, just to have another one of their AIs disregard the rule entirely. You can't make this stuff up. And I don't think I do. Do I really need to dive into the litany of CEOs that are bragging, not only bragging about how much of their code is being written by AI, but encouraging, like they're using the percentage as a benchmark, whereas more AI code means better? Well, let me just say one. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, said sometime last year that they're up to 30% of AI written code. I don't know if there's been a newer release since then. I assume it's more by now, just to release utter garbage that is Windows 11, which is not only utter garbage because of the ads in AI and the ID thing and not being able to log in with the, well, I'm not even going to list everything, but because there are actual bugs and problems and issues that need to be fixed. And then just last week, Microsoft put out an apology, effectively, saying, hey, we're sorry we built a crappy product with crappy features. And not only that, but they also have to delay or just straight out cancel planned features because they have to utilize all of that manpower to fix all of the broken things in Windows 11. Now, are they saying that this is due to AI? No, of course not. But when you say that you're using AI more and more and more for code, and then you release Windows 11, and a lot of things are broken in Windows 11, the timing is not in their favor. And frankly, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's probably a dang duck. And there are many more stories like this that I'd be here all day if I had to dive into every single one of them. Just simply put, I don't remember a time ever before where we have this much crappy software and poor user experience, not just flooding the market because everybody can make something with AI now, but coming out of the top tech companies of our time. But please, if I'm wrong on that, let me know. I'm all ears. I really just want to be honest about this too, because it's much more important to be honest than just having a hot take for the sake of having a hot take. And I'm not exactly sure if this is a hot take, but you can frame this in a lot of different ways. One, is it purely AI that's causing all of this? No, but there are direct AI impacts. In Amazon's own internal memo, their AI queue was the reason why the outage occurred that lost 6.3 million orders, which cost them millions of dollars. And while Amazon said that Kiro wasn't AI wasn't the reason for the deletion of the entire AWS Cost Explorer codebase in live production environment, okay, I do understand that you do have to put these guardrails around AI. That is your responsibility, but I mean, come on, AI is the thing that did it. It doesn't have the same reasoning as even a junior dev has that says, maybe I shouldn't delete this entire thing that people are actively using. But some of it is indirectly caused by AI. Because like I said, everybody can build anything, and devs who were already building things are shipping more than ever before. Everybody is all about optimizing the speed of shipping and all of these side projects and everything within their company, and all of the pressure from their managers and CEOs to produce as much code and use as much AI as possible. Well, when you do that, you're going to lose quality. You're going to be taking the shortcut or thinking that the AI covered everything when it really didn't, because you're kind of still a human in the loop, but you're heavily taking yourself out of it, resulting in Windows 11. And some of it isn't AI at all. I rag on GitHub. I do have to be a little bit fair to GitHub because they are going through a bit of a shift from their legacy servers to Microsoft Azure. So there was some sort of downtime to be expected. Was it this much? Is it all because of this? I don't think so. And then there are some write-ups of Cloudflare's outages last month in February being due to BGP configuration issues. So not everything is caused by AI as much as we would like to say it is. Oh yeah, and I want to show you this graph. Just look at the sheer amount of more code that is on GitHub than ever before. That probably adds to their strain as well, if I had to guess. I feel like AI is like money. And stick with me on this one. Have you ever heard the expression, money reveals the truth about who you are? It'll make you more of who you are. So if you're a kind person, a good person, money gives you more power to do good. But if you're a bad person, money gives you more power to do harm. That's how I feel about AI in developers. If you're a good developer, AI allows you to be even more effective and productive. If you're a bad developer, it makes your mistakes even bigger. Because as a human, you can only write so much code per day. That means you can only make so many mistakes per day. And a lot of the times you will notice the mistakes that you make, or one of your team members will. And then you will learn from those mistakes. AI, on the other hand, it can write way more code than we can on a given day, which means way more mistakes. All of these mistakes compound day after day after day. And even if they get fixed, whether you fix them or whether Codex made a mistake and you threw it over to Claude and Claude fixed Codex's mistake, or vice versa, AI doesn't learn from its mistakes. It just doesn't. And this is me kind of harping on 2 points. The outages that I started the video off with, as well as all of the slop that has flooded the internet, flooded our favorite software, and then created a bunch of software that people are trying to market as good software. It's gotten to a point where bug bounty programs have been closed because everybody is using AI to try to complete them and submit for them, and it is just too overbearing for the people in charge, as well as, I think, TL Draw. I always want to call them TLD Raw. They're like the ex-Cali Draw, but TL Draw. They, along with many other companies, just auto-close external pull requests because they can't handle it, because it's just so much. Before, you had to be intentional with these pull requests to open source contributions. And open source this is a whole nother can of worms as well, in what AI has. It's helped in some regard, because if there's something open source and you want access to that code base, and you can use AI to tweak little UI things or add a little feature here and there. And you can add that to an open source code base to make your version of it perfect for you. That's awesome. But all of the individuals just pushing all of this code, submitting all of these pull requests, it's not helpful. It's just not. I don't know if they think they're being helpful or they just want their contribution graph to be off the charts and to be able to show their friends, look at all of these PRs that I opened at all of these cool repos. I'm not sure. And I'm not going to harp on this any longer. If you've made it this far in the video, and if you aren't familiar with me, you probably think that I am some anti-AI guy or boomer-minded individual that is in denial about the effects of AI and how you can use it. But no, you would be completely wrong. I use AI every single day to code and to research, and among other things. I would consider myself an AI power user, as a matter of fact. But there's no denying that AI is exacerbating mistakes on a grand scale, and it needs to be addressed. I think more people need to talk about it. So hopefully, whether it's managers and CEOs or whatever that are pushing their devs to try to work this fast, and that's where the mistakes are happening, or the devs want to do it themselves, whoever needs to hear it should hear it from a lot of people that maybe we just need to slow down a little bit. You're trying to be 100x of what you were pre-AI. Why do you think that's going to work right now? Maybe it will in 10 years. I don't know what AI is going to do, but right now you can't do that. You need to sit back. You can have it write your code, but you need to look at the code. You need to understand the code, and you need to make sure that it's not going to break everything you're doing. And I know I talked a lot about AI being at fault, humans being at fault, whatever, but I am going to point the fingers at the humans. AI didn't break the internet. We did. We just happened to use AI to break it faster. Because at the end of the day, we are the ones that are in control and need to slow down, take a closer look, and be mindful of what we're putting out there to the masses. Mistakes will happen, but let's try to catch those mistakes more than we are right now.